Hey Broscarellos, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you guys are doing well. Today we're gonna be talking about the top selling, most popular fragrances in the US for 2024 so far. The ones that literally everybody and their mother are buying. And when I say everyone and their mother, I mean it, because these are the fragrances that are selling in stores in huge numbers. What stores? Well, we're talking about Sephora, Macy's, and Ulta. Why retail? Well, because you and I, we know about discounters and we shop at discounters, right? Unless it's a brand new release, I guess, and then we don't. But your average person out there, which is where these brands actually get the majority of their sales, are buying in stores. So what I've done is I've taken a look at the best sellers for those 3 websites and I've parsed the tea leaves and tried to figure out what the top 10 is for 2024. Now, of course, when I get the hard numbers after the end of this year, I'll go ahead and do an updated list, the top 30, top 40, whatever, just like I've done the last couple years. So this will be a little rough around the edges compared to when I get the official rundown, the insider information. But I think I've got a pretty good idea, and all of these fragrances will be listed in the description. Feel free to check them out there. Goes without saying, if you want something super unique nobody's wearing, you want to avoid these. If you want something that's super popular that everybody loves, you probably want to check these out. First off, we're going to go with 3 fragrances that were just outside the top 10. These look like they're doing really well. They're ranking in the bestseller searches and everything like that, but they're being beaten out by the even bigger dogs. And there's some really interesting changes between last year and this year, which I'll talk about as we work through the list. But first, those 3 fragrances. The first one up is the Most Wanted from Azzaro. And this fragrance just about took over the entire Azzaro lineup. That's what it feels like to me anyway, because Wanted started off as an Invictus style fragrance. Then you had Wanted by Night, Wanted Tonic, and those were okay. Actually, Wanted by Night was sick, but Wanted Tonic wasn't great. And then they hit something big with the Most Wanted, and this fragrance has just continued to rise in popularity. This style of fragrance, really trendy right now. Warm, spicy, sweet, a little bit of a gourmand edge to it. It's extremely well done, huge compliment puller, great performance, not all that costly. The bottle, pretty attention grabbing as well. So the Most Wanted just keeps doing better and better and better, and this one was just outside the top 10, best as I can tell. Then of course, there's also the Most Wanted Parfum, which is doing very well also. It looks like the Eau de Toilette Intense version is not doing as well as this one and the Parfum, which that would not be a surprise to me at all if that's the case. Like I said, when I get the full numbers and everything next year, we'll see if I'm right or wrong. But it looks like that one's not hitting quite as hard. And again, that makes sense to me because the Most Wanted Parfum, those stick out a little bit more attention grabbing, more appealing. Then there's Bad Boy Cobalt, and this one is one that has steadily performed really well ever since it came out. This is the most popular Carolina Herrera men's fragrance right now. And a lot of people may not think of Carolina Herrera as like a powerhouse for men's fragrances, but in the past, they've had some hits. Dude, they had some bangers, man. CH Privé, great. CH Men, awesome. 212, that spawned like 32 million flankers. A lot of popular stuff, but over time, it just kind of faded a little bit. And Bad Boy was like their launch back out there, right? To get more attention because they got Good Girl, now they got Bad Boy. And they've done okay, but none of them hit in a huge way until this. Now, when I say huge, I'm talking about being able to compete with the really big popular fragrances. Now, I'm not saying the original Bad Boy was a flop. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is there are levels to this, right? And so Bad Boy's down here, and then you've got the monsters up here. This one has gotten closer to that monster level. It's a sweet fragrance, easy to wear, and really has all year round versatility, so it makes sense this is selling well. And it's similar to Invictus Platinum, but it outsells Invictus Platinum. And the last one before we get into the official top 10, Le Male Le Parfum. That's a bit of a surprise. Why? Because last year, no Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances made the top 40. And a big reason for that is because Jean Paul Gaultier was not really, at least as best as I could see, trying to push into the US market that much, or not as much as you would have expected anyway. But that has changed this year. And we're gonna see some other fragrances here in a second that have made that similar push, where previously they just kind of said, whatever. So Le Male Parfum, obviously this is one that's been super popular in the fragrance community for a while, and now it's starting to sell at retail, which is good and bad in a way. It's bad if you were wanting this to stay a little bit more underground. It's good if you're happy that this is finally getting out there to more people and it's getting a little more respect from your average Joe. But Le Male Parfum, just outside the top 10. Now, before we head to the next fragrance, guys, if you're on TikTok, throw me a follow there. I'd really appreciate it. At Gents, pretty easy to find. I've got a lot of content there that I'm not doing here, covering fragrance there that I might not cover here. But yeah, follow me there. I love you. And also, as always, guys, you know the drill. Here are some codes you can use to save yourself some money. Commit those to memory, just file those away. Let's go top 10 style. Here we go. Number 10, Stronger With You Intensely. Again, Stronger With You, a fragrance line we all know. Everybody knows Stronger With You, right? Well, up until recently, not really actually. Not in the top 40 bestsellers list. It's a fragrance line that you would think would be easily in there, especially with all the flankers that they have, but it wasn't. And that's because until recently, as far as retail establishments go in the US, couldn't really find this. And you know another thing that doesn't hurt this one, Stronger With You Intensely has huge performance. Big attention grabber. It's a modern style fragrance, really sweet. And also, oh yeah, it's not that expensive at retail. 110 bucks for the full 100 ml size bottle. If you don't care and you want to get the 50 ml, it's like 85. In today's market, that is cheap. So it's got a ton going for it. People know the Armani name. I know Emporio Armani, but they know Armani. Big performance, big attention grabber, warm and sweet, which is really popular right now. Presentation looks good. It doesn't look cheap, and yet it's going to undercut almost all the other fragrances out there at retail. That's a recipe for success. So Stronger With You Intensely, that one, ever since it finally became available, has been selling really well. And also, I'm sure some of the discounters are like, oh man, because I think they were selling this for about retail. And now that it's finally available at retail for that price point, they're like, oh, gotta cut that price. Number 9, 1 million. What can you say? This stuff sells. There are constant flankers coming out with 1 million. So it's one of those lines where you're like, this is never even gonna die, man. You know, 35 years from now, they're gonna be coming out with 1 million sapphire, gold, platinum extrait or something. And they'll legitimately hit you with like 2 flankers a year with this. Like it is just, it's here forever. Fragrance itself, talking about the OG, actually way more wearable than it gets credit for sometimes. A lot of people will just say, oh, clubbing fragrance only. Nah, don't go crazy heavy with this and you can wear it a lot of places. It's got nice usability. It's warm, sweet, a little bit spicy, which is really popular right now. So I mean, fits right in. And another one with good performance. Number 8 is Le Male Elixir. That's right, Jean-Paul Gaultier. Where have you been? This one is just climbing right up the sales lists. And on Sephora, I think that it was online only, I think. The other ones you could buy in store, but I think it was Sephora said online only. I could be wrong, it might have been Ulta, so don't hold me to that. But even on that website where it was online only and they hadn't moved it into stores yet, it was still a best seller. This is one that's been in huge demand in the fragrance community, but it's been kind of a pain to buy because it'll be in stock, then sell out, in stock, then sell out. Same thing has happened with Le Beau Le Parfum, Le Beau Paradise Garden, and here recently, Jean-Paul Gaultier has finally started selling those at retail in the US, on their own website, no less. So they got the hint, and apparently it's working out pretty well. So it would not surprise me to see these fragrances crack into that top 40. I don't think they have the full year of sales behind them. So the way that those rankings work is it's for the entire fiscal year. Right? And so if a fragrance doesn't hit the market until, say, April, then they're gonna be behind a little bit because they don't have the entire year of sales. But still, it would not surprise me to see both of these pop up in that top 40. Because right now, they are moving bottles. Number 7, Born in Roma Intense from Valentino. It looks like this one has taken over from the original Born in Roma and become the most popular in the line. This one came out in 2023, last year, And even though it didn't have the full year, like we just talked about, it did really well. I think that it was somewhere around like 25th or something like that. I don't remember exactly, I'd have to go look at it, but somewhere around there. And now, with a full year under its belt, it looks like it's cooking into the top 10. And I see why. Stuff smells awesome. Talked about it a ton. The vanilla in there is amazing. Really wearable, very versatile, big compliment puller. So Born in Roma Intense, crushing it. Now we start to get into the fragrances where it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Next up, Eros. Now, of course, with Eros, it's Eros Energy that everybody is waiting for. As of this video, when I'm shooting, it's not available yet, but it should be any day. Who knows, maybe that'll come out tomorrow. But we're right on the precipice, okay? But still yet, Eros EDT, EDP, Parfum, and Flame are doing really well. And if Eros Energy hits in a big way, it could just take the stock of this line even higher. And then it wouldn't surprise me if Versace's like, hey, maybe we should actually put some more flankers out, I don't know. I will say again though, getting back to Eros Energy, the timing, not the hottest. It reads like a straight up summertime fragrance, and it's not gonna come out until the end of August, which in the Northern Hemisphere, you know, we're getting into fall. So it's like, hey guys, maybe 3 months ago would have been a good time to get that out. I had heard that they were having trouble getting the face of the fragrance locked down, and that's what caused it to be pushed out, but could be hearsay. Back to Eros though, everybody knows this fragrance, that mint in there, really attention grabbing, apple as well. It's a super versatile fragrance, and it's here to stay. This is probably gonna be a top 10 bestseller for the next 10 years at least. Number 5, Aqua de Jo. Interestingly enough, the Eau de Toilette still the best seller. Now, they did change the presentation style of Aqua de Jo Eau de Toilette, and I heard that they changed the fragrance up a little bit too. I haven't smelled the new style yet though, so I need to go ahead and pick that up, and I'll let you guys know. Regardless though, it's still selling. It's Aqua de Jo. Profundo seems to be doing pretty well also. Profundo Eau de Parfum. When I was looking up Profundo Parfum, it didn't look so good. At least based off of where it was in the bestseller rankings when I was looking, it was a little far down there. But Profundo Eau de Parfum and then Parfum are doing pretty well, and the Eau de Toilette best of all. Then at number 4, why Eau de Parfum, which maybe a lot of people were thinking, it'll be number 3, but Why Le Parfum typically does pretty well also, because that one's broken out separately, and that one usually is gonna fall in like the 20 to 15 range typically, unless it has a big drop year over year. I guess we'll see. I think it was 20, or was it around 20, I don't know, whatever, somewhere in the 20s. Why EDP though consistently is like the number 3 blue fragrance. I mean, you already knew those were coming, right? It's not a spoiler or anything, but this is like always number 3 as far as the big blues go. And it's still selling well, still very successful, but it looks like it's getting supplanted by that, Myself. Yes, YSL Myself. This one was just nuts last year. It came out in, I think around August of about this time last year. And that fragrance just took off. By the end of the year, it climbed up into the upper echelon of best-selling fragrances. Just absolutely annihilating. And actually, if you look at Ulta and Sephora, as of when I'm shooting this video, who knows, again, it changes as things move up and down in terms of sales, of course, but as of this video, this is the #1 best-selling men's fragrance on Ulta and Sephora. So why isn't it #1 here? Well, because on Macy's, it's like 6 or 7. So #1 Ulta, #1 Sephora, 6 or 7 on Macy's? I don't know. We'll see when the numbers come out, but this one I fully expect to be up there toward the very top. I think what's going to work against it when they factor in all the sales numbers and everything is it doesn't have a bigger line. So the way that they typically will do those sales numbers is for Sauvage, right? It'd be like Sauvage Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, Parfum. They bundle that together. Bleu de Chanel, Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, Parfum. They bundle that together. So if it's just like a concentration difference, they put it all together as one listing basically. But strangely enough, and I'll go into this when it's that time, Le Parfum is separate. I know, It's weird. So what I'm saying is when those numbers come out, myself is gonna be just this, right? But then when it goes up against Bleu de Chanel and they compare numbers in terms of sales, it's gonna be 3 Bleu de Chanel fragrances against just this one. It's not gonna be number 1 or 2 because of that. That's my expectation anyway. But this one, selling like gangbusters, super popular, has maintained its popularity year over year, or maybe even grown. Number 2, Bleu de Chanel, that's the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Parfum is typically the best-selling Bleu de Chanel fragrance. And Bleu de Chanel, what can you say? It really helped kick off the whole blue fragrance lineup, you know, made it go into overdrive, for better or worse. You can wear it literally anywhere. I think that for the big blue fragrances in the designer realm, Bleu de Chanel is the classiest one, the most versatile one. Quality is good, wearability is nice, price point, actually not that bad nowadays. So Bleu de Chanel number 2, and you know what that means. Sauvage. So this is the Eau de Toilette, and as of this video, Sauvage was the number 2 fragrance on Sephora, number 2 fragrance on Ulta, number 1 fragrance on Macy's. So of course, we already know the drill. Sauvage is Sauvage, right? Now I will say, Eau Forte, to me, is a misstep. At least as far as major launches go, assuming that was supposed to be a major launch, which I don't know how it wouldn't be considered one, but Sauvage, Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and Parfum sell really well, especially the Eau de Parfum and the Eau de Toilette. And then Sauvage Elixir also sells really, really well. And truth be told, Sauvage Elixir would be somewhere in here. I just didn't want to include 2 Sauvages. Because if I included all the Sauvages, Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, Parfum Elixir, I think in the top 10 you would have Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and Elixir. And Bleu de Chanel, you'd have Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum, and you would just have half this list being Bleu de Chanel and Sauvage. So that's why I only kept it to 1 from each line. But Sauvage Elixir also crushing it, that's what I'm trying to say. Sauvage Eau Forte, I wanted to see where that was falling in the bestsellers lineup. To be fair, it's not been out a super long time, but I had to scroll for a while. So I'm looking at it right now in terms of Macy's bestsellers, and it is currently sitting just below Diesel Only the Brave, the Eau de Toilette, just below that one, and then just 1 above Versace the Dreamer. And 2 above Drakkar Noir. Disgusting. Drakkar should be so much higher. Now, of course, that could creep up over time. As more people smell it, more people buy it, it could go up. I just feel like they probably didn't want it to be down there. I can't imagine that's viewed as a rip-roaring success when they first launch it and they go, look guys, it's the new Sauvage, the freshest Sauvage, the milkiest Sauvage. Does it look like a homeless person did a little business on you? Maybe it does, but it's Sauvage, you're gonna buy it, loser. And then they put it out there and everybody goes, no, actually I'm not. Then they go, I didn't prepare for this. I just expected that Johnny Depp was, what do we do now? I'm gonna lose my job. But I'm sure Dior feels just fine because like I said, it could creep up over time and they still have this absolute monster right here. There we go, guys. There they are. Best sellers. Things have changed. Most notably, these little beauties coming in. Stronger With You Intensely popping on in there. Myself continuing its run of insanity. Born in Roma Intense becoming one of the best-selling fragrances in the world. These 2 right here, just real strong from 2023. Nice. Oh, and you, this is actually not too bad a year. And as I sit here and look at these, actually, I wonder, is there gonna be a single fragrance that was released this year that has this level of success? I'm not sure. Maybe Paradise Garden, if they get it out there like with the really wide release and make it available to more people in stores, it could do something like these are doing, but I don't know. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.